Welcome. This is a Freethinker Institute event on meditation. Today, Dr. Krishnesh Mehta, a seasoned scientist and a spirituality expert, is sharing his knowledge on the science and practice of meditation. In the end of the session, he facilitates a short beginner-level meditation for the group. Sign up for our live events through links in the description.
Just give a quick intro for the Freethinker Institute. Is the not-for-profit that's hosting these events on Tuesday nights, which is my not-for-profit. It's in collaboration with Dr. Mehta's organization, which he'll talk about as well. And just want to sort of mention that, our goal is to create a warm, open-minded community to help people sort of excel in terms of personal and professional growth, and to increase happiness and decrease harm in the world. We basically want to just help each person be the best version of themselves and sort of help each other do that. And we have an online community, which is starting to become more active, and I will put the link to the website and online community, as well as the meetup that we advertise all these events through. We advertise to a number of meetups, but the primary one is the Freethinker Institute meetup. And yeah, would love to invite all of you to join the online community to keep the conversation going between these events on Tuesday nights, and would love to invite you to come to all the events on Tuesday nights, and to participate in the community, to get to know other members, and help each other be the best version of ourselves. Dr. Mehta, are you better on
Just restarting? I'm restarting, just
okay.
Rejoining.
And if there are any questions about it, I'm happy to answer them while we wait for Dr. Mehta to get his video up and running.
Where are you based out of?
We're based out of New York City, although all of our events are virtual right now. We probably will do in-person events in New York City at some point, but right now everything's virtual.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So Dr. Krishnesh has been, a professor of design science for the last 25 years, and he now runs his own consultancy called Brain Utkarsh for mind, body, and spirit. His educational qualifications are, a master's degree in physics, certificate in space science, MBA, and PhD in cognitive science. So he's a multifaceted person, and I have always enjoyed my conversations with him. Every time I speak to him, I learn something new, and he's a library of many books. So, so you can see it for yourself, like when he talks, he can quote so many books. It's amazing how he has created a repository of knowledge in his mind, and he has been teaching his students how to enhance their brain. So I look forward to learning something new today. Thank you. Over to Krishnesh. I think he's on the camera now.
Okay, is everything fine now? You can see me?
Yes.
And
Yes.
audio is fine? Everything is fine?
Yes.
Okay. So sorry for the delay. So let's begin. So why do you think meditation is important? I'll try to make it very interactive, please. So
well, I'm going to offer that meditation can lead you from unconsciousness to consciousness.
okay.
One interpretation. Perhaps spiritual liberation, enlightenment.
Okay, others?
I'm going to offer that meditation can lead you from consciousness to before or beyond consciousness.
Okay. How many of you have gone through some form of meditation before?
I have.
I have. If you want, I can talk about it if anybody wants. If you want to hear about it.
So how many of you have gone through it before? Meditation? What type of meditation or something, if you can share?
Hi, I'm happy to share.
Yeah, please.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were doing chats or. Okay, so I've been meditating pretty regularly for the past 7 or 8 years through various spiritual communities, through a yoga community and a Buddhist temple. I've had great results from it, and usually really promote it as much as possible. I'm a psychotherapist, and I try to incorporate mindfulness into my work with my patients, and I've just found it to have give opportunity to delve deeper into thought process and kind of observing your mind and kind of taking stock of what's running through your mind. And also, I don't believe meditation always has to be a seated meditation, but it can be, walking meditation. Many spiritual gurus talk about that, and I think can happen, in various activities.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm a big proponent of it.
Okay, great. So I'm going to ask you a question, all of you. Suppose you are running a company. Okay, say it's a $1 billion company, and say you have 100 employees, and you are only using, say, 10% of the employees, or only 10% of the employees are working, the rest of them are not doing anything, and you're still running the business. What would you call such a thing?
Unfair.
Unfair. Okay.
Wasteful.
As a business,
Inefficient.
wasteful. Okay. Inefficient. Okay.
Not using everyone to their potential.
Potential, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would think about disengagement from a psychological perspective. Like, why are these employees disengaged, and what's going on for them in their ability to participate in the work process?
Right. So, do you know that we are doing the same thing for our brains?
Why don't you sit back and listen to it? I'm not going to give it up. You go and have something to eat and read a book. I can't hear it.
We'll come over here and hear it with
I don't
me.
want to be.
Am I audible?
You won't be. You won't be.
Yeah, you
Hello?
are audible. Krishnesh, you are audible. I think somebody was speaking in the background or the voice. Yeah.
Okay, fine. So we are doing the same thing with our brains. We have probably a potential of 100%.
In your stomach.
Somebody is having his
I
mic
just
on.
muted them.
Yeah. So we are doing the same thing with our brains. Suppose we have 100% potentiality, but we are using about 10% of the potential, or even lesser. Okay, this is one thing. All of you might have heard why meditate. So I list some of the reasons for why meditate. But anyone wants to share quickly, one line or something? Why meditate? Oh. One of the reasons is that.
Okay.
Sorry, carry on.
Right.
Amanda.
No, well, it's been, studies have shown that it's been proven to enhance cognitive function, memory, and focus. And so a lot of companies and corporate offices are using it in that way, and also to try to prevent burnout and increase employee engagement. But that's from the work context. I think there are a lot of other personal reasons and spiritual reasons people utilize it.
Okay, fine. So any other? I'm just trying to build the context for because why I'm doing this is because I'm sure all of you would have heard of a lot of meditation techniques and what is meditation and so on and so forth. I want to bring in a totally different perspective here today. So that is why.
So I would say merging with source, that's union, right? Spiritual liberation, dissolving your duality.
Okay. Any other?
Gain insights into how the mind operates.
Okay. Fine. So let us tell the more scientific reasons, which might also be useful for all of us. So a lot of people associate meditation with relaxation. So everything that relaxation does, for example, reduces your stress, anxiety. So these are the most important scientific reasons for doing meditation. Apart from that, as science has shown, a lot of studies from UCLA and a lot of neuroscientists are studying meditation now, because it is one of the best methods to activate your brain, in the sense that it will reduce aging. Okay, so there's something called microglia in your brain. They are brain cells which are cleanup cells in your brain, so that those cells actually get activated and they remove the so-called toxic material produced in the body, in the brain, and it helps therefore reduce aging. So one is reduce aging. Another way it also helps, meditation increases something called telomerase, which is telomeres, if you know that chromosomes have caps, something like caps. So which replicate each and every cell of our body except heart and brain cells normally replicate every 7 months. And this replication, if it is not proper, is what leads to things like cancer and so on and so forth. So that is taken care of by this meditation. It actually helps remove, or rather it increases the telomere length, or telomerase is I'm not getting very technical, but it just helps in aging, reducing aging because of this. There are other benefits, like it increases your immunity levels. It also increases the gene expression, so that disease causing gene expressions is reduced by about 17 times if you meditate regularly and all that. So these benefits are fine. So all of it is fine. Now, what is meditation? Anyone wants to go?
Well, according to Patanjali, the Sanskrit name dharana, it's one of the limbs just before samadhi. So focus, concentration, even bringing you to oneness in preparation for samadhi.
Okay, great, fine. So preparation for samadhi. Any other? All of you are interested in samadhi?
I mean, I would say samadhi is one interpretation, but in a more simpler term, like a more secular way of looking at it is, I really see it as a period of focused attention and, eliminating outside distractions. We live in a highly distracted world. And so I just listened to a great podcast on Mind, Body, Green about this whole, all the research showing that, most of the population doesn't read books anymore, and everyone's very distracted by technology. And so meditation is a way to really focus internally and live in the present moment. And I think that that's one of the key, takeaways around meditation.
Okay, fine.
I think it's just to focus on your breathing and try not to think about anything in particular, just be.
Okay. Is it easy?
No.
Okay, fine.
It could be effortless. That's meditation is effortless. It's passive. The other things, the concentration may include effort, but meditation, one interpretation is that it could be effortless once you're into the moment.
It should become effortless, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but let us understand. So somebody mentioned Patanjali. So he's I hope everyone knows about him. If not, I'll just mention he's the person who has written the most book on yoga in India. And he has given a lot of thought on what is meditation and so on and so forth. So according to Patanjali, meditation is not a process, not a technique, but it is a state to be achieved.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what is a state? Any guesses?
Consciousness.
Okay, but what is consciousness?
Well, that's
Lack of judgment.
That's a huge topic.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So, see, everything has its own nature, right? So, for example, air is about flowing, water is about fluidity, and so on. So, what is our true nature?
So it could be the merging of the 5 elements, Prakriti to Purusha.
Yes, but what I'm trying to say is, see, when a person is alive and when a person dies, so there are people, I think there are a lot of experiments of these kind done on YouTube. I think now they are banned, but in India at least, there are some yogis who would die at will. So they get into some kind of meditation and so before a minute they were alive and now they are not.
Yeah, Maha Samadhi, when they leave the body, but the consciousness, the spirit that, is eternal, truth and love, pure awareness.
Not. What I'm trying to say is that when a body is alive and when the body is dead, right?
Yeah, meditation is probably the closest thing to death. So death to deathless.
Yes. So, but what is that keeps us alive?
Prana, your life force.
Okay, prana.
Breath.
Breath. Okay.
The brain.
Anything more than breath? Anything more than breath?
The brain.
Okay, the brain. I mean,
The
then the body
heartbeat.
also.
The heartbeat.
The heartbeat. Okay.
Spirit.
Anyone? Okay.
Spirit.
See, when the body dies, there is heart, there is brain, everything, but still the body is dead, right? So it is not heart, it is not brain, something else which goes when you are dead and when you are alive. Of course, your breathing stops. So breathing can be considered one thing, but anything more than that, where does breathing arise from? Or what gives power to breathing, or what makes us breathe?
Energy.
Yeah, so what is that energy? Where does it come from?
Where's your word?
I think it's spirit.
Okay, so that is precisely what we do when we try to do meditation. We try to find out the source of our being. Therefore, we go to a state of being. And therefore, meditation is a state, not a process, not a technique. I hope this is clear.
State of being.
Yes, I completely agree.
Okay. Understood. If you're not understood, please, because understanding this is important. After that, it will be easier. Things will become easier. So you cannot sit to meditate. Meditation happens. You agree with this?
Well, can you expand on that?
Yes. So normally when I close my eyes and start observing my breathing or whatever technique you use, we say we are meditating, right? But is that meditation? Because meditation is attaining your state of being, whatever you call it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people may be doing focus, awareness, concentration, and that could lead to that state of being.
Yes.
But a lot of people misinterpret the systematic process that goes to that.
Yes. So any activity, it can be any activity. It can be music, it can be walking.
If you'd be more comfortable, there's no point with this. There's one.
Was it to me?
Denise, if you were talking to Dr. Mehta, let me know, but it sounded like it was background noise, so I muted you.
Okay. So what we are doing, it can be any technique, can be observing your breathing, can be focusing, can be mindfulness, can be walking, can be music, can be just being in the nature. All these things are techniques which may lead to meditation, but that itself is not meditation. So that should be very clear.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. So please be clear about that. So meditation happens. What we do is, how do we do techniques, or what we do so that meditation happens? Okay. And that's where again we go to Patanjali. So where he talks of 3 important processes. One is what is called pratyahar. I am using the terms that I'll explain. Pratyahar means withdrawal of the senses. Then you have something called dharana, which a lot of people loosely translate it as concentration, but it is not concentration. It is holding on to a thought or anything that you focus on, or anything that you point your mind towards. Okay, so that is dharana, and then dhyana, and then samadhi. Okay, so dharana means holding on to a thought or a whatever you are holding on to. It is holding on to. Now let us do an experiment, all of you. I hope you have a watch in front of you, or a clock of some form. Have you?
We can use the clock of the computer.
Yeah.
Or if you are, yes, clock, a computer, or anything. So look at the second, if you can, if you have the second, you can see this. It can be digital, it can be analog. Yes, everyone ready? Now we have to keep looking at the clock, the seconds, the second hand or digital seconds, whatever you are seeing, and see for how long can you focus without having a single thought in your mind. Start. So how is it going?
Good. I'm pretty much
Okay.
counting my breaths, so I don't know if that counts as a thought. but
Okay, okay, fine. But otherwise, how many seconds before you got the first thought?
well, I made it to 20 until you came back on.
So the point I'm trying to make is how many seconds before you got the first thought? Or was it minutes?
1 second.
No, it would generally seconds. I think maybe even percentage of seconds that you can be having thoughts all the time. You may even not even be consciously aware of it, you know, and many of them will come up to your conscious level. And I think the mind, unless you're doing thoughtless awareness and already self-realized, then the human existence, we're going to be thinking.
So what is meditation therefore? A lot of people think that thoughtlessness is meditation. Is it so? Because even stones and walls and everything are thoughtless.
No, I don't think it's thoughtless. I think there's an observation of thoughts and awareness of thoughts that goes on.
Okay. You are aware of thoughts. Is just aware of thoughts meditation? So let's take an example.
I think when you merge into oneness and you've gone beyond body, have you gone beyond body and mind? And so you're not thinking though, you're thoughtless awareness. You've gone beyond thought in true meditation.
Yes, great. So in meditation, the whole purpose is to rise above our normal body awareness, our sensory awareness, our normal consciousness. Now you understand that when we talk of this as meditation, then all the apps that you get, meditation apps and all that, if you're going to use meditation apps or if you're going to use guided meditation, what's going to happen?
You're being influenced from the outside, and meditation could be considered probably going inside.
Yes, it will keep you stuck to some sense because at least you are listening, if not more. So that means apps and all that will not lead you to real meditation ever. I'm not trying to say don't use apps, but that's a limitation of apps. In fact, nobody has thought of this thing when they make apps. So there is a way of doing it, but at least right now what you get, most of these apps, they keep you tied to your sense, one sense at least, if not more. And therefore, it is not a good idea to use apps for meditation. Okay, I hope you get the point. Of course, having said that, I'm not against apps. What I'm saying is, it will not lead you to true meditation, first thing. Second thing, it is better to do something than nothing. So if you're using apps, please do. If you're not doing anything else, at least continue doing that. But in principle, apps will not work. Okay. Secondly, as it is not a state of thoughtlessness, it is not a state of thoughtfulness, but it is a state of thoughtful thoughtlessness or thoughtless thoughtfulness. If you understand, please ask if you don't. Thoughtful thoughtlessness or thoughtless thoughtfulness. Why this? Because as I told you, we begin with holding something, right? We hold a thought or something, that is dharana, and then that leads to meditation. That leads to a state of thoughtful thoughtlessness or thoughtless thoughtfulness, whichever way you want to call it. And you merge into that state of thoughtful thoughtlessness. It is not thoughtlessness because then that is a stone. It is not thoughtfulness because then that's what we do all the time. So it is a combination of the two. And it is especially important that you rise above the body awareness, the sensory awareness, and go to some other awareness. We'll understand what that awareness is. So far, so clear? Any questions? Because we're going to practice it. I'm not, see, I don't want to talk. I just want to make things clear and then we'll practice it. So we'll do something today.
Okay.
But it's just that you should know this, because a lot of times you get misdirected by what is meditation. So we should be clear about this. So you can begin by holding any thought. So it can be moving in a forest. It can be looking at the rain. It can be looking at the ocean. It can be listening to music. It can be anything. But as I told you, when you're doing that, if your senses remain stuck to it, then the chances of you getting into meditation becomes difficult. Yes, you understand this. So therefore, we need to have some other process which helps us do this better. If this much is understood, then we move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone, please, if you don't, please ask. Okay. Actually, we are working with the mind, and we have to understand that our mind is actually the problem that doesn't help us to get into meditation first time, right? Because it has its past impressions, past memories, it has its desires, aspirations, and so on and so forth. So we have to tame the mind, okay, initially. Basically, we have to do something such that it actually helps us rise above the mind, or use the mind in a way that it becomes helpful to us to get into that thoughtful, thoughtless state, or whatever it is. How do you do that? If you see right now, when we are conscious of so many, our mind is running either here and everywhere. You have thoughts going on. Every word that I speak leads you to some other memory, and so on and so forth. And there's a riot, if you want to call it, of thoughts. But it's very interesting. The mind works in a very interesting way. So if you tell now for a minute your mind to think as many thoughts as possible, please do it. See what happens. Try to think as many thoughts as possible for a minute. As many thoughts as possible. What happened?
Well, for me, I started getting sensation in my prefrontal cortex when I was trying to think.
Okay.
I feel very crowded in the forehead, like just so crowded, and I feel my mind's trying to catch my thoughts, like really super busy, like protons going everywhere.
Okay. Okay, fine.
I just thought about food the whole time.
You thought of food? Okay. Oh, hi Satya. Okay. Okay. So last time it was caffeine, this time it's food. Okay, great. Okay, now let's do one thing. For a minute now, don't think of food, okay, all of us. We're not going to think of a food for a minute. Just keep your eyes closed and don't think of food. What happens?
You think of food.
Yeah, the food is the first thing. So basically, the point is we need to use a strategy to work with our minds, right? And the strategy is, so what is a good meditation technique? Is a technique that involves the mind in so many things that it gets so entrenched in those things. And then what happens? The mind will first feel bored. So what will happen? When you're bored, what happens?
You're going to look for something more interesting, perhaps.
Yes. So either you look for something more interesting, or because you're forcing yourself to sit, what's going to happen?
Well, the mind will get fatigued if it's trying to, maybe.
Sorry, So sorry, come again.
Can the mind get fatigued trying to do something that's not motivated?
Yes. Yes. So normally, what is that? So most of us, when we start meditating, we start feeling sleepy, isn't it? After some time.
Mhm.
Okay. Because you are sitting and all that, and mind has got bored, you'll feel sleepy, right? Have you experienced this, all of you who've done meditation? Yes, you'll
Yes.
feel sleepy. Yeah.
Mhm.
So how to
Yeah.
avoid sleepiness? How to avoid sleepiness? So the science says that when you do anything monotonous, repeated, the brain will get bored first. And when it gets bored, it's going to run here and there. So it will get into some other thoughts. It will sneak into other thoughts, what food you had last time, or what food you're going to have, or who you met, or whatever, all those things. Or it will go to sleep. And this is where most of us meditators who so-called get into meditation lose it. Because we think, I can't do it, okay? I whenever I do it, I fall sleepy or my mind starts wandering and so on and so forth. But the secret is that you still keep on doing it. Try to bring your mind back, mind back, mind back. I'll tell you how to bring it, and as we learn the process, try to bring the mind back. And what will happen after monotonous, after you win over sleep, that is when meditation will happen. So don't give up, even if you feel sleepy, even if you feel wandering and so on and so forth. Okay, so depending on our minds, no two minds are the same. We will have to have different strategies. So there is no one method for everyone. There cannot be any one method for everyone. If anyone claims that there is one method for everyone, it is not possible. Okay, having said that, you know that this whole process of first getting sleepy and then rising beyond sleepiness would not happen in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You understand? So there are apps which teach you meditation for 10 minutes, or there are people who claim that you should meditate for 10 minutes. More than that is bad, and all that is again false, because they don't understand what meditation is. Minimum, you should give half an hour, minimum, if you want to really experience good meditation. Okay. Now, this is where a lot of you would think that why we don't have time. Half an hour is too much of time. We are busy, and so on and so forth. Why meditation is important in life is here where you have to understand. You know why? If you can meditate even for half an hour every day, it's going to, of course, as we talk benefits of aging and all that, but it's going to activate your dormant parts of the brain. We talked of that 10% industry person, right? So it's going to activate around 90% of the dormant parts of our brains. And therein lies lots of abilities which we don't know exist with us. One of them is that you'll be able to do things faster. So if you meditate half an hour, it's not going to take away half an hour from 24 hours. It's going to add probably 5-6 more hours to your 24. So your day would become 30-hour day. And you'll not be tired while doing. Okay. So you can cut out on sleep half an hour and do at least half an hour. And let me tell you, good meditation, if you do half an hour, is equivalent to 6 hours of sleep physiologically. So no complaint about not sleeping or not getting enough sleep and so on and so forth. Have I made this clear? Because I just want to go step by step.
Even for, I'm open to your suggestion.
Yes.
It's like I know Pratyahara, Yoga Nidra can replenish, but you still need a minimum amount of sleep because of the REM, perhaps for the sleep, for the tissue repair. So I understand about the rest concept theory, but the sleep, you know, you're going to need to have some amount of sleep because of the different brain waves, correct? For tissue repair.
Yes, NREM you're talking of, NREM, REM.
Yeah.
But that is for Yoga Nidra. So Yoga Nidra, 1 hour of Yoga Nidra is equivalent to 6 hours of sleep, if done properly. So I don't know what kind of Yoga Nidra, but if proper Yoga Nidra is done, then you can replace sleep. But of course, it's not an advisable thing, but I'm just saying that. So half an hour cut off your sleep is not going to make much of a difference to your sleep cycles first. And secondly, what will happen is when you'll meditate, it will increase your ability to get into NREM the moment you sleep.
Okay.
See, normally NREM, for those who don't understand, we sleep in bouts of around 90 minutes. And so about 5 sessions of these are called REM, rapid eye movement sleep. Rapid eye movement is when you are sort of dreaming. And of course, in NREM also you sleep, but the dreams are not that clear. And there is something called NREM, non-rapid eye movement sleep. That is considered the deepest sleep. And it has been found that if you don't sleep any other REM hours, but if you sleep just NREM hours, then also you'll be sufficiently fresh the next morning. But this NREM happens to happen at its own time for mostly, this is average. For adults, adult males, it happens between 11 to 2 in the night. And for adult females, it happens between 4 to 6 in the morning. But if you do meditation, if you do this kind of technique that we're going to talk of, then you will be able to get NREM when you want. Okay, so the moment you sleep, your first phase will be NREM phase. So that means even in 2 hours, you will be fine. But once in a while, if you skip sleep, then this half an hour is not going to spoil your health because of no sleep. Because our brain, because as I told you, the cleansing process in the brain, the lymphatic fluid flowing and all that is highly activated, not only in the brain, but in the whole body because of meditation. And so-called cleansing process that happens in that sleep time is taken care of by this. Of course, provided the meditation was deep. So that's the catch there. Okay. But there are people who have not slept for years and nothing has happened to them if they go deep into meditation. So that deep part is important. So don't start doing from tomorrow that I'm going to do half an hour meditation, I'm not going to sleep. Not that way. But as we go along, meditation is going to also help you reduce your sleep and get more control over your sleep. Okay, makes sense? Fine. So I hope I answered you. Seen, it is not about losing sleep. It is NREM. Fine. You seem to know a lot about brain. So are you from a brain background?
I'm a trainee yoga therapist, and so we do a lot of neuroscience in our trauma.
Okay. Yeah, but let me tell you that if you go deep into meditation, you don't need sleep.
Okay.
Your NREM, REM, all sorts of things that you can care of. Okay. Now, what is it? How do we do meditation? Right, that's the most important thing. Why we are here. So, how do we do it? I hope it is clear now why meditation is important. It is not, of course, it has benefits like relaxation, stress, anxiety, and all that. But I would call those are byproducts. The main reason for which you should meditate is getting into the state of being. Once you get into that state of being, you will achieve a certain expansion in your brain potential, and that would help you change your way of looking at things, change your perceptions, perspectives, and so on and so forth, which is what is going to make your life more engaging and equanimous than small setbacks, or even good things may not take you off balance. And that is something that we need, right? So we need balance in life. So because in life things will come, even if we don't like, pandemics will come, isn't it? So what do we do? Right? So yes, I agree that rewards prevent meditation. We are not going to choose meditation for rewards, but the point is that these are byproducts. So the main purpose of meditation is not these byproducts. They happen automatically. Sleep also is a byproduct. So how do we do meditation? Any idea? Of course, you know, you've done meditation and all that, but I just want to put it in a different context now. Anyone wants to share?
There is no how. How is time.
Okay.
Meditation
Good.
is the movement of timelessness.
Great.
If you're doing the how, you're preventing the true meditation from taking place.
Great. So as
Do
I
you
told
see
you,
this fact?
you can't meditate, as I told you. So that's, I just wanted to check that.
That's right.
Meditation
We can't
happen.
meditate.
Meditation happens, okay?
Right.
But we can
Therefore,
do
no
everything
how.
to make that happen. Meditation
No, you can't do it. No, there's nothing you can do. You will prevent it. The me is preventing the meditation.
Jacob.
Whatever the me does is
Jacob.
preventing true meditation from happening.
Jacob.
Right? See the fact of it. See
Jacob,
it now,
if you're not
immediately.
respectful,
Don't think
number
about it.
one, the
See the
number one
fact of
rule
it
of this
now, the
community,
truth.
Jacob, is to be respectful and polite. If you don't follow that rule, you will be removed from the meeting
Okay, you tell me how I'm not being respectful.
because you're talking over people, Jacob.
No, I'm not talking over people. I'm expressing myself. I'm not finished. He's talking over me. I was expressing myself. Do you object to that? Is that what you're objecting to? Me expressing myself?
Fine. But see, the Jacob, that's what I want to tell. Everyone may not have experienced or reached that level of understanding that you have reached. So I have to go step by step, right? Please understand that, right? We will get to that state. Fine. If suppose you say that you don't have nothing, the moment there is me, there is no meditation. I agree with that because there's ego and all that. But you have to do something, right? Even just close your eyes or do something which will lead to that meditation, isn't it? How will that happen otherwise? What will lead you to that thing? So there are processes for that. And I'm going to share some very simple things. The first and the foremost is, of course, you have to get into what is called dharana first. So you have to hold on to a thought. But before you can hold on to a thought, you have to do certain things which will help you do that. And as we understood, mind wanders. So the process is to keep the mind occupied. If you occupy the mind, the rest will happen automatically, which is what Jacob is saying. So consciously, when we sit for meditation, we have to keep the mind occupied. And how do we do that? So there are 2-3 very important things which many times we miss out on. First is always use as many sensory awareness processes as you can use. Okay, so how do you do that? So keep some nice floral flowers with good smell around when you get into that. So basically, you should define a place where you want to sit. This we are talking of right now, sitting meditation. We are not talking of walking and all that. Even when you're walking, you can feel the air. When you're at the ocean, you can feel the sound and so on and so forth. So I'm not going there. I'm just trying to talk of the process. So how do you involve the mind so that the meditation happens? Okay. So first is that. Very important is the environment, the smells in the environment, the sounds in the environment have to be conducive. I will not, as I told you, the moment we start using focus on sense, and what's going to do, it's going to get us stuck. So if I say play music or something, what's going to happen? You're going to get stuck. But what you do is, for the brain, if you have, say, sound, smell, and whatever you want else, touch and whatever, if you just keep focusing on that, then what's going to happen? So for example, right now, we'll do some small experiment. Say you are touching something, right? Because you're sitting somewhere. So just keep focusing for a minute on that touch where you are touching. What happens?
Your awareness can intensify on that area.
Okay. But what happens to your sense of touch?
It gets focused to that area.
Okay, but afterwards, what happens? Do it a little longer. What happens?
Well, okay, I can continue to try. Yeah.
Yes. If you observe, what will happen after a point is your brain would get bored of it or will release that. For example, if you're wearing a watch, you forget that you're wearing a watch, isn't it? After a point, any sensation that that is continuous, your brain will shut it down.
Yeah.
Okay, so the process is that focus on all these senses or whatever that you have. It will actually change your brain to focus on something else because that thing is now constant for it. Clear?
Okay.
Okay. So,
This is such a fucking tool.
does it make sense? We're going to do this little.
Yeah.
We'll
So
do the whole.
it'll
Yeah,
go
okay.
through all 5 senses.
Yes. So ideally, you should keep all the 5 senses. So keep focusing on all the 5 senses. What's going to happen?
I love him. He's great. He's the one teaching this.
What will happen when you keep focus on all the 5 senses? After a point, your brain.
I can only normally with the brain 1 moment at a time. You can only, I feel, can only do 1 sense in 1 exact moment at a time. The mind will try and coordinate the different senses: the hearing, the smell, the touch, the taste.
Yes.
So it'll go from moment to moment. Correct?
Yeah, it will. So what will happen initially is first you'll focus, you'll smell, or whatever it is. You'll smell, you feel the smell, you feel the touch. After a point, it will shift from smell to touch and other senses. And after a point, it will get bored, and it will just take it as a constant and move on to something else. Okay, that is the state we want to achieve.
Would you consider thought a sense?
No.
Okay.
You can focus on thought. That can be a sensation, but
okay.
Yeah. Fine. Okay. So far so good. Now another very important thing is, because when you are focusing, because when you are doing meditation, our sense of self in terms of how our body is also matters. Okay. So ideally you should be fresh. That means after a bath or something. And what you're wearing is also important. Okay. So it should not be too tight. It should not be something that is restrictive. And my research has shown, and you may try this out. My research has shown that what you do is just wear drapes, no stitch clothing. Okay, just drapes, no stitch clothing. Okay, I can figure out how to do that, but no stitch clothing, only drapes. So when you sit, wear only drapes. This is initially, see, once you master, then all these things are not required. Okay, right. You can then do whatever. It's just initially, I'm just trying to tell you for initial states. Okay, so no stitched clothes. That will help. Fine. Now, ideally, your center of gravity should be at its lowest. Okay, which means ideally you should not sit in a high position or a higher, taller place. You should sit as far close to earth or as far close to ground as possible.
Okay.
Within that also, then there are meditative poses. I'm sure you would have heard of meditative poses, right? Like Padmasana, the lotus pose, so something called Siddhasana, and so on. Now, what these poses do is they are scientifically so designed that your center of gravity gets to its lowest. So of all the meditative poses, Siddhasana is considered to be the pose which makes your center of gravity at its lowest point. Padmasana is next. Then you have Vajrasana, and then your other asana. And you can just sit cross-legged and so on and so forth. But what if you can't sit cross-legged or even sit in Padmasana? What do you do then? Don't worry. Whichever way you sit, but keep your spine straight. Okay. But slowly and ideally try to at least get into some cross-legged position. And if you get into Siddhasana, nothing like it. Now, Siddhasana is very difficult to understand and do It's a very easy thing, but the anatomical part is difficult. So I would suggest a book called Anatomy of Hatha Yoga by Kultler. That's a book where it is very nicely mentioned. So you can read up that book, and Siddhasana is mentioned for those who want to try. It's very, very powerful because the very act of sitting in Siddhasana for 15 minutes will lead you into meditation. Okay. But we are going to do something different today. Okay. So this is when you sit idly. Today we are not going to do all this because your clothing and all that is not going to be, it's not going to be possible here right now. So we are going to do something different. So when you start meditating, how do you start? You don't start meditating, you do dharana. When you start holding a thought, what do you do? So I want all of you to sit straight. Okay. Do nothing, but only focus on being straight. So no movement of the body, as if rock. You are a rock. You have to become rock still. Your only focus should be to become rock still. I'll tell you how long, but you just do be rock still for now, right? See what happens. Just be rock still, do nothing. Even if your body wants to move, twitch, avoid it. If you want to itch, avoid it. You should be rock still as a rock. What happened?
Well, for me, the breath creates sort of movements in the body. Just the you're going to have movement just because of the breath. Sort of movement.
So a lot of you might have experienced this, that now even breath becomes a distraction. Am I right?
It becomes a focus, yeah. It can become a
or it becomes a focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but mostly breath becomes a distraction, right?
Yeah, I guess it's all perception. If you class it as,
yeah,
I guess, if your main focus is stillness, your breath is going to pull you away from that. It's going to distract. So yes, I agree. Yeah, it's a distraction. If you want to focus on stillness, I agree.
Okay, so what is the secret now? What do you do if you want to focus, if you want your brain to remove that distraction?
I think if you focus on observe the breath, because because that'll dissolve. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll add a little more to it now. Okay, so while you are sitting still, observe the breath. So you just sit still, your focus is on sitting still, rock still. And at the same time, when you start becoming aware of the breath, try to observe the breath somewhere between your eyebrows, because at the inside of the nose, that's where the breath goes, right? So try to focus there and see what happens there, and I'll tell you what to do next. So just for a minute again, try to do that.
Were you focusing the nostrils or the center of the forehead? Where do you want us to focus?
It is at the nostril, the top of the nostril, right? So where the air, is the air enters, here is where it goes into, right? So somewhere
the corners of the eyes, okay.
Not eyes, between, so somewhere here, right, at the top of the nose. Can you see me, right?
No, I'm just trying to see,
top of your nose. So when the breath goes from the nostril, it goes right. You can feel the nose air till here, right?
Yeah.
So feel it there. Remember, you have to sit straight, you have to be rock still. And once you reach a stage where your breath becomes a distraction, you start focusing on the breath at the top of your nose. And when you start focusing on the breath, also try to feel the touch of the breath at the nostril, upper part of the nostrils. The temperature, the smell. As you breathe in, there'll be one temperature. As you breathe out, there'll be another temperature. If you can feel the difference of temperature. The smell also. The touch as it touches the insides of your nose at the top.
Oh, wow, 3 months to figure out that you could get a paycheck. Trust fund baby or something. Yeah. How the girls doing? Yeah. And it's the same school, right? Okay, so it's good for her. Is that soccer with the school? Is that all right, well, that's
Okay, what happened now?
Yeah, I was able to focus on that area and then try to use the differential between the code and the different senses to that area. I was distracted a little bit, pulled out because I could hear some background noise, and then I tried to bring it back to that area that you suggested to focus on.
Yes. You will feel the touch also, the smell also. And what happened after a point if you noticed?
For me, it starts wanting to go to my center of my forehead. It goes,
yes.
It's a nice, pleasurable, for me, sensation, and it wants to go upwards together.
Okay, over and above that, what happens? Something else would have happened. What happened to your length of the breath?
I feel my breaths are getting more slow.
Yes.
And longer, more expansive, more full.
Okay.
Inhale's cold, but the air out, I can really feel warm. Just kind of fullness.
Okay.
I don't know how to use the words to describe them. Just very positive, embracing feeling.
Okay, fine. What happens is, so how do you measure whether what you're doing is actually leading to meditation or not? Or how closer you are getting to meditation or not? Okay. So the test for that is, all of you can see me?
Yeah.
So you just breathe, keep your hand like this. Okay. And breathe and see how far can you feel the air on your hands. For how far? Is it closer to your nose or away from the nose? How far can you feel the air?
Just below the chin.
Okay, near the chin, okay?
Just below, I think.
Yeah, just below. Okay, fine. So typically it is said that it's about 8 fingers. So if you count this is 8 fingers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it would be something like this, okay? The average is 8 fingers.
Okay.
But when you do this, or when you do any meditation, any form of meditation, it should reduce to almost 1 finger or even lesser. That's the test that your meditation has, you are closer to meditation to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can you say that again, Dr. Mehta? Can you say that again?
So you can feel the breath, right? That you understood?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, as you do this practice, any meditation, this or any practice of meditation, if the breath seems to only be felt till 1 finger below the nose, 1 or 2 fingers below the nose, or as closer to the nostrils as possible, that is a test of a good state of your mind, so that it is more probable to get into meditation now. Am I clear?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know how to pronounce your name.
Arite.
Arite. Okay, fine. Is it understood?
Yes.
Okay. So now onwards, when you sit for meditation, first test, and then after half an hour, you can test and see the difference. Then you'll know what state of progress has happened. Because one of the biggest things that happens in meditation is we might be meditating and we think nothing is happening. What happens is all these processes that happens in the brain takes time, because we've been used to not doing such things for all these years. So your brain has to change itself, your body has to change itself, your physiology has to change itself. In fact, Scientific American and so a lot of studies have shown that if you meditate regularly for half an hour every day for 8 weeks, just 8 weeks, half an hour regularly, it actually increases your thickness of the cortex. That means it grows what are called neurons by about 1 mm. So normally your neocortex about 4 mm, it can increase the thickness of it, okay, as you meditate more and more, which means you're going to get more brain power if you meditate more. And when you have more brain power, of course, it will trickle down to every aspect of life. And that's why that half an hour is a real investment for you to do for everything else in life, for better everything else in life. Understood? Anyways, so this change of physiology takes time, and we get restless after 1 week. Oh, nothing is happening. I can't see, I can't feel anything. I'm still getting angry. I'm still having all these problems, right? So it's not working. So we give up. But don't give up, because it is working very subtly. You would not know what the change is happening. But that's why this test, it will help you know how far and how fast you're progressing. Okay? Because we need some measure of the progress, isn't it? So this will be a good measure of progress. Understood? Okay.
Are
now,
there any other measures?
Sorry?
Are there any other measures available to you?
There are many, but I'm just giving you simple ones, right?
Okay.
I'm just trying to make it very simple.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Having done that now, there's one more important aspect, okay? As we discussed that in meditation, we try to go to that state of being, okay? So, how do you go to that state of being? So, the whole point is, before you start meditation, you have to give a talk to your mind or a brain, whatever you want to call it, or call it prayer or whatever you want to call it, right? What is this talk? You have to prepare the mind for this, okay? So, we'll do certain things before we start meditation, okay? I just showed you how things happen. Then in the end, we'll do the whole meditation. I'm just giving you process. So we'll not do meditation. Meditation happens, but we'll do the process to get to meditation, okay? So when you sit to meditate, as I told you, your clothing ideally should be drapes, otherwise whatever it is. The first thing you do is tense your whole body. Breathe in and tense your whole body. Okay, breathe in and tense your whole body. And then hold the tension as long as you can hold your breath. And then release. So do this 5 times. Hold the tension, hold your breath, and then as you cannot any longer hold the breath, release the tension. Do this 5 times. You should feel the vibration in your whole body. Vibration means you should tense it as much as possible. Okay. I don't know if I'm able to show you. I'm just trying to exaggerate. Okay. All muscles and everything should be stretched. All leg muscles, hand muscles, stretch. Hold the breath. And then when you can no longer hold your breath, release it. Do it 5 times. So this is the first thing you start. Okay. Another thing is, if you are sitting not in a chair, but if you're sitting cross-legged or on the floor, or even if you're sitting on a chair or something, after doing this 5 times, try to bend forward so that if you are sitting on a chair, you touch your knees, or if you're sitting on the floor, your forehead touches the floor. Do this 5 times. As much as you can go. If you can't go all the way, no problem, but as much far down you can go, as much as possible. Okay. Do this 5 times. What is this going to do? When you are doing this process of meditation, what happens is energy flow happens along the spine. That is why sleeping meditation doesn't work. or you will not get the benefits of meditation as much when you are doing it sleeping in a lying position as compared to when doing in a sitting position. Okay. So after doing this 5 stress and strain, then you do bending, forward bending 5 times. Okay. There also you can do breathing. So you, as you go down, breathe out. As you come up, breathe in. And while you are down, hold the breath as long as you can hold the breath. Okay. That also helps. After doing this, we will talk to the mind. Okay. What we will talk? So it can be a prayer, it can be whatever you want to call it. So if you believe in some God or something, pray. If not, talk to the mind. And the talk is to be of the kind that today I'm going to be allowed to go deeper into my mind, into my state of being. And the mind will help instead of distract. Okay. So today I will go deeper into my mind.
Sorry, Krishnesh, just to be clear, are we supposed to bend down, like lean forward, and then breathe in, and then tense up our body until we, can't hold it anymore, and then lean up?
No. So these are different activities. First,
Okay.
you do tensing and releasing.
Got it.
Then
okay.
you do coming down and forward, and then you talk to the mind. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. But there's also one very important thing. So when you talk this to the mind, your aim should be like, you're going to meet somebody special today for the first time. Right? What is that kind of anticipation that you have, right? So keep that anticipation. This anticipation is very important when you get into that meditative, means trying to get into meditative techniques. Okay, so 4 things I told you. Stretch and strain, bend forward, talk to your mind, and have the anticipation, or your mind, your state is that today I'm going to enjoy. I'm just like you when you're going to meet someone special. What kind of expectation and aspiration, or what kind of joy that you experience that today I'm going to meet this person, and so on, right? I hope you get it. So that has to be done. Okay. Then you do whatever your meditation technique be. I am not forcing that you should do any one technique. Okay. But I want to tell you something very important. Irrespective of what meditation technique you are doing, if you do sufficiently long enough, that means half an hour every day for up to 48 days, you will be inspired to a technique which is best for you within your mind while doing it. Nobody tells you this, because then their business goes down. Get my point? What is best for you would appear to you in your so-called meditative process. Don't believe me, you'll have to experience this. You'll get ideas, or you'll get inspirations of, oh, I should do this, I should do that. Okay. Another very important thing, this whole process of meditation is a lengthy process, because we are retraining our mind and the brain and the body, even the body to sit, the mind to be still, and the brain to allow all these things to happen. So don't expect any results within a short time. Okay. When you say you want to give meditation a time, I would say at least give a year. Okay? At least a year. We are not talking of quick fixes. Having said that, there are techniques which will allow that to happen faster. But even then, I'm saying that please give a year, because then you have really tried. And within a year, believe me, you will not then need any motivation. You'll automatically be motivated, because you would have experienced so much within that 1 year that your mind and everything would be in proper training to allow you to get into meditation the moment you close your eyes. The state which Jacob was telling of, okay? I think it takes time. It doesn't happen automatically.
So,
Any questions? Yes, yes,
I
yes,
do.
Aditi.
I'm sorry. If I interrupt you, I'm sorry.
No,
So
carry on.
So in the beginning, should we practice like in the morning and in the evening around the set time? Or like when we have a moment of rest that we can practice?
Okay. A lot of people tell you that you should have a fixed time every day and all that. It helps for the brain. But my understanding is because our lifestyles are such. So whenever you are in the mood of doing it, do it. Whenever you're in the mood of doing it and you have the time to do it, do it. But when you do it at least half an hour. Don't do it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Okay. The whole idea is this process takes time. And if you're just going to just close your eyes 5 minutes and you did meditation and then say nothing happens because of meditation, that is not being fair to meditation. Okay. So do it when you feel like doing. So because see, your involvement has to be there, your emotion has to be there. So obviously you need, so don't worry about, so they say something called Brahma Muhurat and all that, the morning time and all that. Don't worry. Of course it helps if you do it in the morning. Later on when you start doing it, you'll see. But the point is not that. The point is we have to train our mind in such a way that wherever we are, whenever it is, we can do it. Okay. But initially, yes, do it when your mind allows you to. So do it whenever you feel like doing it. But at least have that feeling happen at least once a day, right? Every day. I hope I answered you, Aditi.
Thank you.
Okay. So far, so good. Any questions? Yes, Dennis.
Will we be getting anything that states this? Because I'm trying to write, but there's some words I don't know and things that go over my head. Is it possible that we will get an indication of what was covered tonight?
Garrett, you want to answer that?
So I don't know. I mean, we will have the recording of the event that'll go up on YouTube within hopefully the next couple of weeks. So you will get a recording of it. Now, if some of it is not, if you're not understanding it, you know, in like with a recording, then I don't know if Krishnesh, you have like anything written that you want to share in the online community, we could do that like as well.
Yeah, so you can write to us or whatever. I don't know how that happens, Garrett, but they can write a question to us or something. We can answer that.
You can write on Meetup. You can send a message on Meetup.
You can send a message on Meetup, yeah. Okay, we'll try to answer.
Is there a basic book that you recommend? I think you mentioned one, but I didn't get to write it down.
But that book is not on meditation. So anyways, I'll mention the book, Anatomy of Hatha Yoga, H-A-T-A, Hatha Yoga.
Hatha Yoga?
Hatha Yoga, H-A-T-A, H-A-T-H-A, Hatha Yoga. By Kultler, so C-O-U-L, Kultler, L-T-E-R.
Kultler.
Perhaps if you have diagrams of just the postures, the meditation postures, rather than the full book, that might be of an assistance. You know, just the diagrams of the different seated postures.
The book has the diagrams and wonderful diagrams in the book. What I can try to do is maybe I can share the book with you. So I don't know how we can do that sharing, but
thank you.
We can share the book, digital form of it.
Thank you.
I don't know how, Garrett, how that is possible. Because I don't know if we have all your.
Let's talk offline. There are different ways we could do it, and it's up to you how you want to do it. But let's talk offline about that.
Okay, fine. So we'll try to send the book to you. But otherwise, it is Anatomy of Hatha Yoga, Kultler. Okay. And he gives all the pictures and everything very nicely.
it'll probably be through the online community. So if everyone, I'll put the link to the online community again in the chat, because that's probably the best way to share it with people, since that's the way that we stay in touch with each other between these meetings. So
yeah, I think that works. Okay, fine. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so we'll try to now put all these things together, okay? So obviously what we are going to do is we're going to try to do this whole thing, right? So you can start by doing what you have to do first is tense. So breathe in, tense your whole body, breathe out.
When I first started, we were starting on the meditation now.
Oh, good. I'm coming. Uh-huh.
Fine. Having done that, or we can skip that, but if you remember, just to remind you, so this is the first thing, then you bend down 5 times. Then you talk to the mind with this feeling that I'm going to enjoy today, I'm going to go deeper, I'm going to meet my state of being, or what do you want to call it, or experience my state of being. So that eagerness, and then sit straight. If you've done all these things, then sit straight. Obviously, as I told you, your clothing may not be suitable today, but that's okay. Next time when you do it, please remember those things. Sit straight, rock still. And once you start observing your breath or get distracted by the breath, start focusing on your breath and the nostril that we did. So at the top of your nose, also feel the touch, the temperature, the smell if you can. At the same time, remain rock still.
Can you mute everybody? Somebody has noise on.
Just observe your breath. You do not have to breathe consciously. Simply observe your breath. become aware of the surrounding sounds. Become aware of your body touching the floor or the chair or whatever it is. Bring back your awareness to the here and now. Become aware of the surrounding sounds, the touch of the air on your body. And I think you're more aware now. Rub your palms for a few times and put them on your eyes. And blink them before you open the eyes. Now you can measure how long is your okay. So how much time did we do it? I think you're muted, Garrett. You'll have to open.
I'm not muted, but I didn't time it. I apologize.
No, fine. Don't worry. I'm just saying that any
It
idea
seemed
how
like
much?
I didn't put the clock on, but it seemed like about 15 minutes.
Yes.
1,
Okay.
5,
You had kept.
15.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because you saw. But otherwise, what was your sense of time? You would have lost the sense of time, right? That's another. You asked.
I felt
You
we
asked.
did it longer. Is it longer than 10 minutes? I don't know, like 20 minutes, something like that. But
No,
I didn't check.
Yeah, it was 15 minutes, but your sense of time gets lost. So that means, so that's another test. When you are into good state of meditation or your process is going good, your sense of time is lost.
Mm-hmm.
The other test is how light or heavy you feel in terms of body. Sometimes you can feel heavy or sometimes you feel light. Okay. And how was it?
It was, for me, there was some very pleasurable sensations.
Yes.
Okay.
So this was, please mind you, this was just the beginning technique. We have more. I mean, there are lots of things. This whole process, this whole meditation is a big subject. And there are big hacks also. You can get into this state in 2 minutes also, and so on and so forth. But maybe some other day we'll have it. For now, I think this was useful. And if you have any questions before we wrap up, so.
Dr. Mehta, how do we know it's half an hour? It's like 10 minutes or 20 minutes. I guess we shouldn't set a timer, right?
You shouldn't, yes. But so what you do is that you tell your mind, when we talk to the mind, right, that let me get out after half an hour.
Oh, okay.
That will work better. But that is not a guarantee, because sometimes you can go very deep, but mostly your mind will make you out, get you out in half an hour.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Any questions? I hope all of you felt something.
Who did you learn your wisdom for? If you mind sharing, did you connect with a master, or how have you experienced?
Oh, you're talking about
your wisdom.
Talking about
you.
Oh, I have learned it from a lot of people, a lot of direct Himalayan yogis. So, okay. but that's a different story. It doesn't matter, right? As long as you guys can experience something. So there might have been some.
I think learning direct from a master could matter, because
Yes,
then you know. So I ideally, if you learn from a direct transmission, whether you connect directly with divinity or God or whatever you think, obviously, if you can do that, or if you can connect with a living master or a master that's no longer in the body, if you can connect with a master, and then the next thing is through sacred texts and the wisdom traditions. So I feel it could matter.
Yeah, I try to avoid all these things today, but yes, it helps. So what if you don't have a guru, or if you don't have anybody, just somebody that you believe in, living or dead? Even if that person is not there in front of you, you can keep a photograph, or you can keep keep an imagination of that person in front of you and start meditating. That will also help. Okay, so it doesn't matter, but these things are secondary. Don't worry. See, the real guru is within you, so you don't have to worry about all those things.
Right.
Yeah. I hope it was useful. Any other questions?
Thank you. It was very, very, very useful. Thank you for a lot of things that you weaved in. I thought it was very useful.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Dr. Mehta. Anything else you want to do? If not, I'm going to sort of transition to talking about next week real quick.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
Great. So I just want to take a quick survey of like topics that are of interest to people for next week. I have 2 in mind and would love to get people's feedback about which of those is of interest. And if, you can either choose number 1, number 2, or a third option, which I'll decide on later. And so topic number 1 is, I want to try to discuss why I think the social sciences are more something that we need than the hard sciences, even though investment is in the hard sciences predominantly today. And then number 2 is how science and spirituality are compatible, and really can be compatible if you think about them in the right way. And then 3 is some other topic. So if people can kind of write in the chat, or feel free to speak up, number
Garrett,
1, number 2, or number 3.
Can you expand what you mean on social sciences? Is that the arts? What do you mean by social sciences?
So like the humanities, and so basically the concept is that I would say, and just to give the sort of give away the thesis, is that we're creating more powerful weapons and putting them in the hands of more people without really having a clear focus on who is responsible to wield how much power. And that can end up with, people who are not as responsible wielding more power than they may be responsible enough to wield. And so I think we should be focusing more on the how much power should people be able to wield, and how do we make people more responsible to wield more power, rather than focusing on creating more powerful weapons.
And the other one was science, the combination of science and spirituality. Was that?
Yeah. So I have an argument that science and spirituality are very compatible, and like if you think about them the right way. And so I'd like to try to make a case for that if people are interested in hearing it. And so those are sort of 2, and it'll be like short lecture and more conversation for both of those, because my argument for both is the science and spirituality is a little longer, but no more than probably 20 minutes. And so it'll be mostly conversation, about what people think about the topic, and sort of a group conversation. And we might do breakout sessions if people prefer that. It'll be up to whatever people prefer. Yeah.
I would prefer science and spirituality.
Great. Any other opinions?
Compatible.
Yeah, I'd like to do
I also chose number 2, Garrett. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. It sounds like most people agree with that. Anyone else have opinions that hasn't spoken up?
Thank you. Both options seem good with me.
Great.
And what was the third option?
The third is a wild card, which I'll have to figure out another option if people didn't like the first two. So
okay.
Those were the two I had in mind, but like I can come up with something else. I have like unlimited stuff that I can talk about, but I wanted to limit to the choices for time's sake. So
cool.
It was a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Mehta. We'll probably talk about science and spirituality next week, and I'll send the meeting invites out hopefully tomorrow for next week's session, but it'll be same time, 7 o'clock on Tuesday. And thanks a lot, everybody, for joining and for your attention. Dr. Mehta, a special thanks to you.
Thank you
For the great discussion and leading us through meditation and teaching us about it.
Thank you all.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Hope you all have a great night.